So today's going to be a special video because I will say the one thing I love about this whole Vita series is it allows me to just make videos that I always wanted to make, but I just never really thought they would catch on, or I would have to have a really big audience for somebody to care about them. But since I really don't care what's happening in Vita, or I just want to tell stories, or it's really just making a video every day, I can finally tell one of the stories I've been holding on to forever. And I don't know if I've even told this on streaming before, so this is going to be nice. I'm going to tell you guys, you've probably already seen the title, of the greatest catfish I ever came across. So, for those of you that don't know, I am not talking about the actual fish that is called a catfish. I am talking about the thing where people pretend to be other people to, freaking trick other people. Sometimes it's malicious, sometimes it's just for fun, whatever. Either way, kind of shitty to do no matter what. But when I was growing up, there was a popular show, which I think it was on MTV, called Catfish. And they would go and they would find out if people that were dating online were actually real people or if they were catfishing the person that they were dating. And it was pretty intriguing, especially when the person was real. So that was always the most interesting part. But for the most part, it was usually known for when the person was lying, using somebody else's photos. And from this series, you really found out how conniving people could be, or also kind of how dumb some people could be. Or gullible, I should say, not necessarily dumb. But yeah, anyways, so I was always very weary of catfishes. I was always, I've always been on guard because, look, your boy don't get hit on by girls a lot, okay? It doesn't happen. So when I was being approached by somebody, I'd be like, I'd be very, very skeptical. I would be, age of social media, I'd be looking into profiles, I'd be asking questions, I'd be doing all this stuff. So I never really ever got catfished. It just never happened because I was so adamant and so untrustworthy that I really just didn't do it. Even today, I still don't trust a lot of people. So yeah, it was very interesting. But I can finally tell the story of where I got catfished, and it was magnificent. I'm glad, one thing, that I caught it, but two, I was amazed at how far this person had went to make their profile believable. So this happened, I don't even know, man. This was probably back in 2018, 2019 era kind of going on. It was a long time ago. It was definitely after I had been in some relationships and I was kind of doing my own thing. And yeah, it was way after that. And so I was, even though I haven't been in a relationship, I've always kept the door open, right? If somebody comes by, somebody's interested, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. I've always kept that door open, but for the most part, for the last decade or so, I've been focusing on myself and trying to make my things come true, just so I could try to have a good life for me and my family, all that jazz. So one day, I have somebody hit me up in my DMs, and this was before Instagram. This happened on Instagram, way before Instagram was taken over by bots, and it was before these AI girlfriends were popping up, because Instagram has so many fake women on there now that are just these AI bots. Doesn't help, ladies, when you're also using filters on all your photos too, and you're starting to look like these AI people, but you are, you're actually real. It's getting a little crazy out there. And so this was the time before that. So usually catfishing was really just stealing somebody else's photos. There wasn't all this fake crap out there. So I get somebody hitting me up and they're like, hey, I'm so-and-so. Just wanted to say, I've seen some of your photos and whatever, and just kind of playing it up. And they're like, I think you're kind of cute. And I was like, oh, thanks, and I kept it real chill. At first, kept it real chill, I was like, oh yeah, cool, I just thought it, because people would tell me that every once in a while, and I just wouldn't really play into it, it is what it is. And for whatever reason, I think this person just comes on a little strong, and they're like, yeah, I just think you're cute, and blah, 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 and tries to be flirty. And I think I was at work one day, if you guys don't remember, the job I used to work, it was just kind of I had a lot of downtime. So, this person's trying to be all flirty, and I'm just like, all right, I'll entertain it for a little bit. So, as the time, like, obviously, I do my checklist, right? I do my checklist, and I go through, and I'm like, let me see if this is a real person. This person seems to have real photos, and I'm like, okay, where are they at? And, like, as this is going on, I'm asking, like, locations. I'm like, oh, yeah, where are you from, and all that jazz. They're, like, saying this information. I'm going into their profile, and I'm like, are they actually from this place? You know what I mean? And you know, a lot of it is kind of checking out. They seem like a real person. And the one thing you can do to really check when it comes to catfishing is the first thing you should do is see how old the profile is. Like, how old is the profile? And this profile was years old. It wasn't just like, you know, they created it 2 or 3 months ago and they only have like 3 pictures like a lot of bot profiles have today. No, there was years worth of photos and content on this thing. And this was before Reels, so there wasn't really a lot of videos or anything like that. So I was like, oh, damn. I was like, okay. And like, this was like a lot of random photos. Like, you know how Instagram before, everybody made sure everything was the aesthetic and everything had to be perfect. And like, oh my God, like there wasn't carousels and all that shit. Like everybody really cared, or some people didn't care about their profile, but there was just random stuff. Like, oh yeah, look at this pizza I ate. It's yummy. You know what I mean? There was stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, is kind of checking out to be a real person. And so we start talking and all that jazz, right? And things get a little flirty over time. This happens over the course of like, you know, a few days to weeks or whatever. And yeah, we're just kind of talking, and we were in the same state. We're in the same state. Weren't in the same city though. This person was like, I think it was like in Houston or something like that. And they were even giving me like legitimate information. Like, I was like, oh, what do you do for work? And they were like, oh, I work, I think they said they worked at like a museum or something like that. I think that's what they said. I don't remember. They worked at something, and it checked out. And I was like, okay, because I was still being very suspicious at this time. And it checked out. They had like a photo on their profile from that museum, and like, oh yeah, you know, great day at work, and it said like the caption years before I met this person, the caption reads like, great day at work, set up new blah, blah. And I'm like, oh shit, like this thing is like, it seems legit, like really, really legit. Everything is checking out. And I'm like, okay, all right. I was like, maybe this person is real. Like, man, do the ladies actually like juice or what? Because the few photos that were on there of this person, and it was of the same person the whole time, it was like a fairly attractive woman. And I was just like, okay. And I was like, man, maybe the stash is actually, you know, actually got some magical powers here. And it's not just the guys that are always complimenting it. You know what I mean? And so as we're talking, you know, it eventually gets a little bit spicy. And I have a rule. I will say this. And men out there, I say, you know, unless you're, first of all, you shouldn't do this at all unless it's from a consenting person that asks. But I don't do D-pics, okay? I don't do that because I think it's just a way to get blackmailed, or it's just a way for your junk to be ending up on the internet when you probably don't want it. Because I just don't, like, my thing is never send something to someone unless you think, without the idea that it could be exposed. Because you could piss off the wrong person and they can expose everything. You know what I mean? So my thing is, like, I'm never taking photos or videos that compromise myself. That's always been my rule. So I wasn't going to do that. And so like, that was my biggest thing. I was like, all right, I'm not going to send anything like that. And I think one day this person sends me some spicy stuff, and I'm like, yo, what? And, you know, then it gets a little bit, the tongue gets a little bit spicy and stuff like that. And that happens for like, you know, multiple nights in a row. And she's very adamant, or this person, I should say, is very adamant, which I'm going to assume they were a female because they were sending me these videos. The videos all seemed pretty consistent. It wasn't like they were sending me different body types and stuff like that. And I was just like, they were just like sending me these videos and stuff like that. They were trying to get me to participate in the game. And I told them, I was like, look, I don't do that stuff. I was like, thank you. I very much appreciate the stuff you're sending, but I don't participate in that game because I was also doing YouTube at the time. And I even explained this. I'm very upfront, by the way. When it comes to any kind of relationship, I will be upfront with you. I'll be like, hey, I'm not looking for a relationship. whatever, and if they're just like, well, what if it's, you know, you just want to be friends with benefits or whatever, if I'm into that, then I'm like, yeah, sure, we can do that, but you know, let's do it safely, yada yada. Like, I am very, very open and communicative when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I explained this to this person the whole time. And I was like, look, I do YouTube. I was like, you know, if I were to spread something like this, you know, and I think this was probably around the time I was doing really well on YouTube, so I didn't want to, like, risk anything, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, yeah, I'm not doing it. And they were like, okay, whatever. And they were still like, well, I'll still just send you stuff or whatever. And that's kind of what I thought was going on, right? And then, but like something still wasn't, like I wasn't trusting, right? Because again, I've never met this person in real life. We were kind of talking about meeting up. Dude, they were telling me about their family. Like, you know, they had like issues with their brother. I don't know if like their dad was around a lot or whatever. Like they were telling me like if it was made up family history, then I have to say like, oh damn, like that's kind of if it's made up, that you should be a writer. That's all I'm saying. But it seemed like legit stuff, like that they were going through and whatnot. And I was like, oh damn. And so I would try to ask questions about like some of the photos and stuff, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm like really into that, and they would have information and stuff. I'm like, okay, like damn, they have a good backup answer, or they have an answer for everything. And but I still just wasn't okay. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking like, why didn't you just do this earlier? And I don't know why. So a reverse image search, I think everybody should do this, right? Wouldn't get there yet, right? Let's not get there yet. Because here's the thing, is I want to say that they had images of this person on there, but I think, again, everything seemed to have checked out. And so I was just kind of giving this person the benefit of the doubt. And I also don't know if there was actually a clear, like a real clear image of somebody's face. But I know a reverse image search can do anything, and like as long as you save that photo, if they find it somewhere else, it'll pop up. Whatever reason, that didn't pop into my mind. Yes, you should do that immediately if you are questioning something, but didn't pop into my mind because everything else seemed like it was checking out, right? It just all seemed legit. And so the one thing, this is where I started catching on, because the videos I was getting sent, it looked all like the same person the whole time, but never showed their face in it, which, to be fair, I think this is a common practice among a lot of people, because in case somebody does go the revenge route, at least you can't identify if it is that person or not. And so I think that's why there's a lot of close-ups of things, because they're like, okay, at least if this does get leaked, my face is not in it, so I can at least plausibly deny that that is not me. You know what I mean? I think that's what a lot of people do. And so I was just all like, okay. And I was just like, there would be questions. I would ask questions, and sometimes I would not get direct answers. Or like if this person, if we tried to like meet up, or we're like maybe thinking about like meeting up or something like that, maybe there would be a change in plans or something. So like there was things that weren't starting to not add up, and I was still like, it was bing, 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 bing. It was sending off my sensor. And then I noticed, they sent me one video, spicy video, and I noticed something that I noticed in her photos that were not in the videos. She didn't have a tattoo on her wrist, which was in some of the photos she has. These videos did not have this tattoo on her wrist. And I was like, that seems weird, because it wasn't on either of her wrists. And I was just like, okay, I think we are dealing with a catfish here. I don't think it's legit. And it was crazy, because I want to even say, y'all, which is nuts, I want to say that I think I questioned if they were real, and they sent me their location one time. Or they sent me a location to see like where they were at, or like a legitimate thing, or maybe I saw it on one of their photos. I don't know what it was, but I feel like they really wanted to make me believe. So I had their location. I was like, holy shit, they're like really giving me like information, which is nuts. And the location checked out with like other stuff in their photos, and I'm like, oh damn, this is crazy. But I still was not like, I still wasn't trusting. And what I ended up doing was I don't know, I want to say like after we were kind of, because I would like send photos back, right? But it was stupid photos of me just like sending like stupid faces or whatever. Like I don't care if that shit got leaked, because I make stupid faces online all the time. And, you know, we would be talking back and forth. And I think one time they sent me a photo of themselves, but not in like Snapchat mode. Essentially, like, you know how you could do it, and if you screenshot it, it'll say like it's been screenshot. They sent me a regular photo, and the photo also had the tattoo in it. And so I saved it, and I'm like, all right, I'm reverse image searching this one because this is a clear photo that would give me a clear answer. I do it, and I've never heard of this person before. So this is another reason why I think this was so believable. Never heard of this person in my life. Their name was some model named, I think they're a model, maybe they're just a big influencer, called Rachel Apollonino or something like that. The last name is Apollonino, Neo or whatever. And that's who it was. And that popped up, and I was like, oh shit. This is all fake. I've been talking to a catfish like crazy. And it was wild because I was like, this was so, like, I just sat there in disbelief for a little bit. I'm like, okay, I've been dealing with a fake person this whole time. Luckily, I had my rules in place, so I wasn't worried about, like, they have criminating evidence. Oh my God, why'd they leak it? Like, I didn't give a shit about any of that because there wasn't really anything I would be embarrassed about. And so what ended up happening is I'm in shock for a little bit that I got played so well. And I was like, God damn. I was like, this was crazy. But then I'm like, okay, I was like, well, I'm not going to let this charade go on for a long time. And so I just messaged them back because they would still hit me up like every night. They're like, hey, what's up, babe? Like, how you doing? And blah, blah, like this and that. And I was like, hey, do you think Rachel Apollonino is a beautiful woman? Because I do. The moment I sent that message, I was blocked. And, like, those messages were just gone. Or, like, I could not respond to them anymore. And so they knew they had got caught. I wish I would have played along a little bit better in hindsight to have found out a little bit more. Or I would have liked to verify some more stuff and, like, maybe looked at, like, you know, captured some of the photos on their profile. But, yeah. Instantly blocked me when they knew the jig was up. Like, didn't even try to play it down, didn't even try to speak through it or anything. Instantaneous block. So I thought it was pretty wild. I don't know if I was almost caught in a, you know, had I been somebody that would send those kind of images, I wonder if it would have been like a blackmail scheme, like, hey, I'm going to throw these everywhere unless you freaking do that. Because one time I did send a photo, again, I think it was just like of my stupid face, just doing something dumb or whatever, and they screenshotted it. And I was like, yo, what's up with the screenshot? I thought, like, you didn't do that kind of stuff. And she was like, oh, that one's just for me. Don't worry. I'll be fine. It'll be okay. And I'm just like, all right, whatever. I didn't really care because, again, it was just a normal photo that I probably would have posted on IG. And so, yeah, it was just like, it was crazy because I was just thinking about it. After it all happened, I was like, well, you know, that was fun while it lasted. It blew my mind that somebody went to that lengths to get away with it. Like, again, guys, this profile was years old, meaning they either converted their original, like, real life profile into just being this personality, and they were just like, they're like, I'm gonna use real information, just fake photos of this person, or they've been playing this con for years and years and years, and they've probably been doing this to a whole bunch of other people, and it was wild. But who would have thought a wrist tattoo was the thing that got me to snap? And I was just all like, I was like, these spicy videos don't have that wrist tattoo. Something's not right here, Robin. So yeah, I got to play detective, but I have to say, they almost got away with it, man. If reverse image search wasn't a thing, I think it would have been a lot harder to figure this out. But I was kind of questioning it. I'm like, the tattoos aren't matching up here with the other ones. So yeah, pretty crazy. That is my the greatest catfish I ever came across story. And I'm glad I finally got to tell it somewhere. Because yeah, I don't know if I've ever told this on stream before, but that was wild. It was, you know, still a fun time, even though the person was just, here's the thing though. Like, the person, seemed fine from what they were sending. Like, I don't know what they were trying to hide. I don't know if they weren't confident enough in their, like, I don't know if they have body dysmorphia or whatever. They seem like a beautiful person, so I don't know what was going on. But, you know, everybody deals with their own things. I also don't know why people hide their faces. Every time, like, a catfish or somebody hides behind something, I always think of this Batman episode where Batman and Batgirl capture this female villain who wears a mask, and they take off her mask, and she's like, no, my face, no! And Batgirl's like, she's beautiful. Like, why does she wear a mask? And, like, the woman is beautiful in the cartoon. And Batman gives, like, this speech about, like, she doesn't even know who she is anymore or something like that. And I just feel like, man, I bet you a lot of people that do this catfishing stuff because they have no confidence or they have low self-esteem don't see themselves as pretty, so they get people who they think are pretty and they catfish people with them. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It kind of sucks. But that person could have been great for all I know, but, you know, maybe they were, I don't know. I was maybe either in a scam or I was dealing with somebody that had very low self-confidence. Either way. Again, the family stuff they were talking about seemed like legitimately real, but maybe, again, that's how they get you. And surprisingly, like, usually when you deal with a scammer that doesn't give you what you want right away, they usually kind of, like, back off or just stop wasting their time. So maybe they're trying to do the long game, which, you know, according to that profile, they have no problem with. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is my greatest catfish story of all time. Yeah, I'll see you in the next Vita vlog.